We started right now. Thank you. I'm Paloma from Leanest Brazil, and it's a pleasure for me to introduce our guest, Dr. Fred. Fred is medical oncologist, administrator, healthcare management consultant, executive director of IOV, Instituto de Oncologia do Vale, where he developed the management system and the manual that gave rise to the book System Architect Manifesto. He's also been the director of hospitals and other oncology centers and collaborates with several organizations with the purpose of expanding lean thinking and Dr. Deming's system of profound acknowledgement. Author of the book In Search of Perfect Care, also published by Lean Institute Brazil, and of several book chapters and articles of management and lean in healthcare. Thank you very much, Fred. Let's talk now about the system architect.
Thank you, Paloma. Well, thank you for the invitation. I will start my presentation now. It's working?
Yes.
Yes, good. So I'm talking about my new book. It's the Systems Architect Manifesto. That it's a work that we've been doing here at IOV. Well, I am the former CEO of IOV. I left just 1 year ago. And well, what's about the manifesto? Well, it's about a long story about leadership at IOV, where we developed our leaders and we were training them to become better leaders and to be system managers. I mean, to take care of the whole system that we put together, the whole management system that we put together over the years. So we started with the manual in 2016, and then in 2024, after using it for a while with other organizations and trying it in several other instances, we turned it out in a book that is named the Systems Architect Manifesto, that we got now in Portuguese and in English. So what's about? Well, first it's about variation. Well, it's about the most important message Dr. Deming had for the managers: reduce variation. But it's also about purpose. It's also about the scientific methods. So it's about understand where your profits are coming and have clear that your purpose and your best efforts are not enough. You need the scientific methods to take care of what needs to be improved and cared. And maybe most of all, it's about people. It's about your personal transformation. It's about who needs to transform your organization and who needs to be transformed. So it's about us. It's about us. We have to transform ourselves. So that's the idea behind the system of profound knowledge that put together the idea of understanding how systems work, understanding variation, understanding the theory of knowledge, understanding psychology of change, and integrating how systems works. But the perspective we've got from the manifesto, it's a perspective looking from the communication patterns of our organization, from this perspective. So a system is a reflection of the communication pattern of the people who designed the system. So, and we have to discuss about communication and communicating inside our organizations and how we behave and how we care, because there's a great difference between what we say, what is said, about our posture and about our gestures. So no matter what we say, what we see is more important most of the time. So you surely see that these boxes are not moving, but we believe they are. And so we are falsely induced to think about things that we are saying but not behaving. And what is important is that 7% of what we say is what people apprehend. 55% is posture and gestures, and 38% is our voice tone. So be careful of our posture, be careful with your gestures, because they drive what you say. And when you're communicating, you get into the complexity. So there are like 3 persons, 3 lines, 5 persons, 10 lines of communication. When you got 10 persons, you got 45 lines. When you got 12, it's 66 lines. So the problem is when you're communicating with teams and you're communicating inside your organization is that if you don't pay attention to that, you're generating complexity. And these patterns can drive a system out of control, because complexity is originated by errors, defects, damages, delays, inefficiencies, and uncertainty. But it also leads to more errors, more defects, more delays, more damage, more uncertainty, and more inefficiency. So we're living in a system where our way that we communicate can drive to all of these undesirable systems, and it will guide us to failure. So I'm a physician. I work in a most of my life in hospitals, and we have to understand that hospitals are in fact complex systems. But the more complex something becomes, the less responsive it tends to be as an organizing system. So uncertainty is a pattern, and we'll have to deal with that all the time. But we can reduce variation, we can reduce errors, we can reduce damages and delays. And when we are discussing with our system, they are reacting in a non-linear way to the optimization process. And sometimes we can get into catastrophic response from this changes, because we are not communicating clearly in the system, because the system is generating complexity. So we should understand that there are few power rules that we are dealing when we are dealing with our systems, like small things that you do or say in your system creates reactions that will define how people will behave in the next day or in the next week or in the next year. And these small power rules, they are usually who drives the system. And when we are talking about complex systems, the better response for those systems are usually counterintuitive. So complexity is something like we have to dance with. It's something that we got to understand about the rhythm of it, about its flow, about its rules. And if you don't manage complexity quite well, we can go down into a downward spiral of complexity. I mean, we create complexity over complexity in the system. So how to reduce complexity is do the way all the way backwards. Reduce delays, reduce errors and defects, and reduce inefficiencies. Uncertainty we can reduce when we reduce complexity. So reduce variation in your system is the response, and the most relevant response for dealing with complex systems. If we are not able to dance with this problem, if we are not able to understand the problems of the flow of your system and how the rules of the system are defined, we will probably go in a condition that we got bad processes, a lot of variation, a lot of complexity, and then we will just have poor performance in our system. So with a system poor performance, we got poor results. And the usual response for the system is pressure to make it better, to do more. And you will spend some more time working, and you won't get better processes. So if you got a system that working on this way, it will work until exhaustion. And we are being victims of our own best efforts. So we are dealing with the system, and we are making the system worse and worse and worse, at the point that when we're working until exhaustion, we got our blue screen. And when we got a blue screen, when we got a burnout in our system, most systems respond to this kind of condition in inappropriate or just stupid ways. So the response for the system most of the time for the condition of the blue screen are getting things worse. I mean, we are working in a system, and we are designing systems, and we are thinking about how to deal with the system, but getting wrong responses about the system. So not just for recent, but for a long time, we know that Lean is a socio-technical system. So We got a subsystem that it's related to equipments, tools, layout, and workstations, and standardized processes and tasks. But we got social subsystems linked to the organizational structure and the way that we communicate, mainly the way that we communicate. And remember, 7% is what you say, 55% is your posture, is what you're doing, and 38% is your voice tone. And then managing people and managing operations. So what is the manifesto about? It's about reflecting over these ideas and reflecting over the system of profound knowledge with these ideas behind it. Is that if you don't understand how the system works, the system will control you. You have no control over the system. So variation in a system increases complexity, errors, delays, inefficiencies, and the less variation you got, fewer defects and problems you will have in our system. And this is why we are doing lean for over the years, trying to reduce variation over the years, thinking about that. But we have to have in mind that simple systems are more appealing to our minds. They are more appealing to our hearts. Simplicity creates a welcoming and inviting environment. So we feel better in simple systems. So think about it, not expanding creativity. Think about creating systems that are more warm, simple, that people can be understand and have clear purpose about what they're doing. And be sure that common sense isn't enough response to handle complex problems. We have to go out and see. We have to go use PDSA at Gemba, and we have to do a lot of experiments. So, but the way people communicate determines how the system works. So dysfunctional communication creates dysfunctional systems, and think about that. And now go to the side, our own side of change. If you don't understand how you work, you'll be controlled by your own emotions. So if you don't understand what you're talking, you're not clear about your posture, your gestures, or what you're saying, you're being controlled by your own emotions. If you don't understand clearly how the system works, you're being controlled by the system. And when you're planning a change, you have to have clear that change is a destination, a journey, but we need an emotional connection with. If you don't have it, if you don't have the clear destination, if you're not looking for a journey and you don't have an emotional connection, there is no change. So the manifesto is about that, and discussing about these ideas, going deeper on these ideas, thinking about the figure of the project leader as an architect. So the project leader will plan and execute, co-creating, using temporary scaffolding to create structure to sustain the system, and then develops permanent structures to keep things moving, to sustain it. Most of it involves a part of mentoring people. So I'll go a little bit deep now in these ideas. So how do you lead change? Well, change, we need to have a purpose. So 3 basic behaviors for change. Get clear direction of what you want, reduce your mental paralysis by using your rational brain, thinking about how to deal with problems and how to deal with variation clearly, and reflecting about what you're saying and how do you're saying something, and if it is the right time to say something. Because you need to find emotional connection with the problem. So you need to use your emotional brain, and we got an organ that is called amygdala in our brain. And if you start the amygdala, the problem, when you feel threatened by something, the amygdala will just stop your collaboration ability. So think about it, because you have to keep this emotional connection all of the time. And then you have to remove obstacles. You have to clean the environment. You have to use like a value stream to design and create better systems. Fortunately, we had a chance to be part of this white paper, how to create a responsive and resilient healthcare system. So what IHI did, IHI is the Institute for Healthcare Improvement. They put together several organizations, all of them are lean driven organizations working more than 10 years with Lean. And they found some responses about how these organizations are designed and how they work. And this paper is for free. The link is down in the page, so you can read about it. But I will go a little bit at a glance. If you're not aware about who IHI is, well, IHI started by Don Berkwick in like 30 years ago with a project that they temporarily called the Toyota project. They invited Jim Womack to help them to create the Toyota of healthcare. A few years later, Jim Womack created the Lean Enterprise Institute with the advice of Don Berkwick. He said that he should leave MIT and go to and create LAI. So there's a very clear connection between both organizations and both purpose and principles. So what's behind that? It's a tech and social practices. So looking for management practices for developing these resilient organizations and looking for leadership practices. And going straightforward about that, leadership principles are those Peter Senge learning organization principles that are pretty much clear, is have a sense of purpose, practice system thinking that is all about the manifesto, collective learning and dialogue. So use, and most of it is using value stream mapping to create this collective engagement and dialoguing, but also practice personal inquiry and reflection. So discipline yourself to reflect about what you're doing, to understand what's happening. And what about the tech part of it? The tech part of it is most of what we have been doing for years, developing healthcare systems in management systems in healthcare, like define model themes that model lines to demonstrate quick wins, redesign the quality department. And for us, this redesign is the figure of the architect. So the quality department will be a mentor, will be mentoring people, will be developing quality improvement, quality planning, and quality control in this organization. And when you are starting it, you create a basic quality planning system, like a rudimentary one, and start working with that using daily management, creating a skeleton of problem escalation system that involves clearly daily management in 2 or 3 layers, and a learning system, problem-solving ways to deal with your organization. Basically, a way that you will do daily improvement in your organization and work on it all of the time. So it's looks like pretty simple. But the most important part, the end of it, is develop leadership mentoring. That is the role of the manifesto. The manifesto is about how a mentor should reflect about the way that he should behave and about the system that he will develop. So how to become the leader that we are expecting to be in the long term, and how this will support creating a quality system, creating a whole system quality for organization. So that's the idea behind the manifesto. And the manifesto is now available in Portuguese and in English. And I think that I'm finishing my presentation right now. So I think I'm open for questions.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Friend. So you can send questions for us, but before the questions, Dr. Fred, I have some questions right there here, and I'm curious. We know that hospitals are a complex system, and you're talking about this in your presentation. And you said that it's possible to reduce this complex. It's possible to be simple. Thinking in a huge company that is complex, that have a lot of people, how to start to build the architect in a simple way?
Well, the architect is for us the person that will start developing improvement in your organization. So anyone that is connected to an improvement process or an improvement project can start thinking like an architect. It's obvious that you have a huge corporation and you will take a long time, and probably will need to have like people in the C-suits to support you. But usually these initiatives have C-suite people supporting. They're not just whatever. But I would say that These leader in the C-suite should think about mentoring, and these leader involved in the process, in the project itself, need a mentor. So this is a discussion that should be raised in the organization. So and what is interesting, there's a great example about it, is from actually there are several great examples from like just one single purpose in an organization is capable of changing the whole organization. So it is clear that you have to define a purpose from your project and be able to show it upstream in your organization. So that's my suggestion. Start small, create a something that you can show, something that is a model theme for your organization, and work about it.
Thank you, Dr. Fred. So it's possible, yeah. when we need to start, the first step.
You need to start slow, but you have to go.
Yeah, and a phrase that you said that is important. It's not fast, and we need to know this, because sometimes I want lean, I want arquitecto, and I want now, and it's not like this.
It takes time, but you have to sustain it for a long time. I mean, and then you need to have support from your organization anyway. But what I would say is that most organizations now that are starting a quality improvement project anyway, they can do it in the way they want. But if you start thinking about these ideas behind it, so if you put those ideas behind you and use them to develop what you're trying to do, I think that you will have a better journey in your quality improvement journey.
Yeah, thank you. Another question here is, how can you connect the book's content with the adaptiveness challenge, the subject of the LGC?
Actually, the book content is how we can adapt ourselves about this very challenging environment that we have. And the central idea behind that, I think, is being a reflexive leader, reflecting about who you are, understanding how your system behaves. So complex adaptive systems behaves in different ways that we're not used to look. They are not obvious, and they don't have straightforward answers to the problem. So we need to reflect about what we're doing and think about and understand that some things and some stuff that we say or do can have a negative impact in our system, and we are not aware of it. So the manifesto is about awareness. And awareness is something that we need to understand complex and adaptive systems. So it's about awareness.
Yeah, sure. And you implemented this in EOV. Yeah, we were talking about healthcare, but this content, this book is not only for healthcare. They can implement in all of the system. Yes.
Yes, and I can connect it with the question that Viet introduced right now about the external consultant. So yes, we did it at IOV for a few years, and we worked as external consultants for other organizations to introduce them the content of the manifesto and the ideas behind it. Actually, most organizations will need some support with experts that understand the system of profound knowledge for Dr. Demings, and address these questions, especially when developing mentorship and mentoring systems. So the idea is that we need mentoring to the architects, and you can make it by your own, or you can have external consultants. Most organizations will require them, but be sure that this guy understands the system of profound knowledge, because that's the idea behind the manifesto, that reflects about himself.
Sure. We have two questions here, Dr. Carlos, and there is chat here. I don't know if you can see like me, but the first one is about the consultant.
Yes,
yeah.
the one that I got it. Yeah.
Yeah. And the second one here is if there is a link of the book that we can access or title.
Yes, I think the book is already available at Amazon, and in English is the systems. I will answer here. Is oops. I'm typing here.
You try to typing, okay.
Systems Architect Manifesto. Oops, sorry, it's misspelling here. And you can have it in English and in Portuguese. So we have both in English and in Portuguese.
System Architect Manifesto.
Yeah.
And okay. And another question here, Dr. Fred, macro question. How do you believe the manifesto can contribute to the lean community?
Well, I think that it's a discussion about a deeper reflection about who we are as a leader and how or we can create better environments by behaving more purposeful. I mean, creating more purpose of our behavior and reflecting a little bit more about who we are as a leaders. And of course the manifesto is actually, there is nothing really new content on it. It's just ideas that are old ideas about the system of profound knowledge that we can get together and reflect about them. It's about the reflection. So it's a reflection about how leaders can become better leaders and how they can lead a transformation with more purpose and clear purpose about things that we do not reflect on our daily basis.
Okay. We have a question here too. How do you see the influence of Deming ideas presented in the book to the development of the lean approach?
Well, I think that Dr. Deming's system of profound knowledge uh, is just like lean approach is the best way that we can see Dr. Deming's profound knowledge applied. What I'm saying, the knowledge behind system of profound knowledge is the best expression of it is lean thinking, as lean practices and doing lean in your organization. So I think there's no difference at all between one thing and the other. I think they're the same stuff, just different names about the same stuff.
Yeah, thank you. And I think we have time for one more question here. I have one here. What have been some of the major obstacles you have been encouraged in the dissemination of the practices described in the book?
Well, can you repeat it? I got it.
What have been some of the major challenge, the major obstacles you
Okay.
have been encountered in the dissemination of the practices that you have in the book?
Patience. People want fast responses and people don't respond at the same speed that we're expecting. And people need time to reflect and to understand about these ideas. So we need to have a more paced change and reflect a little bit more about the time that we are imposing a transformation. Because if we move too fast, people just get stuck in the blue screen, and then we can give them chocolates or whatever you want, but they won't get out of the blue screen. And so we have to understand your teams and understand that they will fail, and that failure is not bad, is an experiment that we're learning about it. So we need to have more patience to deal with change. And this one is the real challenge about it.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Fred. I will give you some final words to close the session. We have 1 minute for this.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here. Actually, I mean, it's a work that we've been doing for more than 10 years. And I think those that participated and experienced the use of the content of the manifesto enjoyed it. So that's why we decided to make it as a book. So hope you have the chance to read it and enjoy it as well. And please give feedback about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. French. Thank you for all
Pleasure.
staying with us. Hope you have enjoyed this section as much as I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.